collected. Redirecting you to YouTube. And there we are. Hopefully people can hear us and see us. Redirecting you to YouTube. And there we are. Hopefully people can hear us and see us. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this talk this evening by myself and Tanja. I've got to remember not to look at the YouTube page because I can't see my lips moving, so I'll put it back on the Zoom room. Welcome to this talk this evening by myself and Tanja. I've got to remember not to look at the YouTube page because I can't see my lips moving, so I'll put it back on the Zoom room. Welcome to this talk this evening by myself and Tanja. I've got to remember not to look at... I think that's muted it. We'll soon see. Anyway, but hopefully everybody else can hear it because you haven't muted yourselves. Anyway, I'm Minister Martin Colclough, and to my right, or your right, or my left, however it's showing on YouTube, is Tanja Van Rij. And this evening, we're going to talk about, should mediumship be fun? And it was Tanja's idea that we'd talk about this. And hopefully, if you can type in the chat, I think I've edited it right, then you'll be able to join us and, put some questions if you wish to. But I'm now going to hand over to Tanja so that she can start this debate between ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we're not in agreement. And there she is. She's gone again, you see. She's the disappearing lady. And now she's back. You see, technical issues, the gremlins, the Christmas gremlins. So I hope you like the festive. This is not pajamas, by the way. It is a shirt. And I'm going to ask Tanja to start the conversation because she suggested this topic. And it'd be interesting to see what she wants to talk about. Thank you. Over to you, Tanja.
Okay, so, well, my name is Tanja Van Rij. And I asked for this topic because I have been on many occasions to workshops and courses at Arthur Findlay College. And what I've noticed is that everybody is very serious about it all. And you have to meditate, and I don't say that you don't have to, but it's all very serious and we have to be very respectful to spirit. And I always found that strange because we people are spirits ourselves, and only we are earthbound, and the spirit we are talking to is not earthbound, but we are actually equal. We are like friends, so why should I treat those people like they are more than me or less than me or whatever? I just think it's nice to be entertained by each other. We do it on Earth also, where we go out, have a beer, have a laugh, and why couldn't we do that with spirit? So that's why I wanted to have this topic.
Okay, well, I can answer some of it from the Spiritist National Union point of view, the Arthur Findlay College point of view, is they're training people to work in, or mostly, people who want to work in the spiritualist churches in the United Kingdom. And it's so that they respect the religion. And that's fine. But I have to agree with you that I often think that mediumship should be fun. And at times, even though I haven't been irreverent when I have been funny, when the spirit world have come through, they've said something funny and it's made people laugh, and it raises the vibrations in the room if there's a bit of laughter. And when I go to a spiritualist church, I don't want to sit there and watch a medium that's just rolling off evidence and there's no real interaction with the congregation. There's no fun. And I mean, somebody once complained because I was making people laugh, and the complaint went to the president of the church and then to the National Executive Committee. And in the end, the president of the church couldn't understand it because she liked the way I worked and she enjoyed the laughter. But I think that's why it's so serious. They teach it so seriously at the Arthur Findlay College, is because of the spiritualist churches and it's their religion. But on the other side, they've I can't think of how many award holders they got, but there's about 320 churches, so there can only be 320 mediums working twice a week, where are the other 30, 40,000 mediums going to work? And I agree, it's about having fun. In the spirit world, they've been through the worst thing, they've passed away, they've left the families behind in the physical, and so they've been through the worst thing in life. So why would they want to keep going through that worst experience in the afterlife? Why shouldn't they come with some fun and some happy memories and some jolly memories? And that's my take on it, that we should, yes, mediumship should be enjoyed, but without being irreverent. As long as you're not rude or irreverent and, making crass remarks, then I think we should be able to enjoy the mediumship. And if laughter comes from it, for me, that can only be good.
Yeah. What you said about that when you're having fun, that the energy or the frequency is heightened. And that really is true. And I really have experienced that spirit also enjoys having fun.
Yeah, that's true. I just say good evening to Jack because Jack's just joined us from Denmark. He's the president of the Danish spiritualist movement. So it is nice to know that people can see and hear us and that we're not just chatting to ourselves. Yes. And I've seen some of the best mediums, and you can even watch uh, YouTubes of Gordon Higginson and people of that ilk and enjoying having fun. In fact, I once worked with a medium in Darlington Church, and she'd been the president of the SNU, so it gives you an idea of who it was. It was Judith Seaman, and I was doing spirit art, and Judith was visiting from Spain. And she wasn't dressed conservatively. She dressed as if she just come from Spain with a light summer dress on. And she was taking the service. And at one time, she'd got me drawing two pictures at the same time. And the congregation were laughing and she was working with two different people. And I was drawing pictures for two different people, you know? So if people of that stature can be respectful, but still make it fun, because that's what she was doing that evening. She was making me work and she was saying, come on, keep up. And that was making people laugh. But in the end, we had, two nice messages and two good pictures.
Yeah, I think having fun, pleasure is like a natural energy which helps everything open up. And also what you said about being rude, I mean, it's also not okay to be rude to other people, and let alone to spirit. I mean, you should always be kind to each other and come from a place of love.
Yes.
But having fun and having laughter together, it really is like um, um, that's a good way to be with each other. Of course, there must be room for sadness, especially when you speak with somebody you've loved and who has left the earth. But it's even better when you can laugh together. In my practice, I once had a lady and her son committed suicide, so she was, of course, very sad. But then I got her in touch with the boy, and they started joking around together and laughing together, which was such a wonderful moment. And it was so special for her and for him and for me. So I think fun is an essential part of mediumship, even.
Yeah. When my father passed away, that's how I came into mediumship. He died on January the 4th, 1997. So I've been a medium that long, since 1997. And it's hard to believe that it's nearly 30 years ago. But I remember going for a reading with a lovely medium called Janet Applethwaite. And she's still on I don't know if she's still on the circuit, but I know she's still around because I've seen her a few times. But she was a lovely medium. And when I went to her house, one of my mum's friends was the first communicator. Then my father managed to come through. And the two, both of them said funny things that had happened in life. And whilst I was mourning, the upliftment it brought me is what brought me into being a medium myself. If it had been stuffy and really serious, I don't think I'd have done it, because then that directed me to a spiritualist church. And I saw my first medium was a man called, it's gone out of my head. Oh dear, Ron Madden. And he was a lovely old medium, and he was making people laugh. When I went up to him, I said, "How do I do this?" He goes, "Oh, you have to study, you have to work at it." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because I want to do what you've just done, and that's made me laugh and made me happy." So I think you have to be careful with the people that you're speaking to. So with me, Ron, he learned early on the message that he could have a laugh with me. So he made it fun. Again, he brought my father through that night. But there's some people, they might have only recently been bereaved. I mean, that was after my father been in the spirit world 2 weeks then. So you might think, well, that's recently bereaved. But there was a study done by Cambridge University,
Mhm.
and this lady wrote a thesis about going to see a medium. And she said one of them was seeing a medium after 6 weeks after the bereavement, 6 months after the bereavement, and 6 years after the bereavement. And she investigated people that had had the reading 6 days, 6 months, and 6 years. All different people, not the same person having a reading at those three intervals. And it came to light that no matter when somebody had a reading and the evidence was good, so from a good, well-trained medium, it showed that people who went to a medium recovered from their grief quicker than somebody who didn't, or they just went for counselling. So that communication takes place. Now, my father was quite a funny man. There's no way he'd come through and not being, light-hearted. He could be strict like all fathers, but if they come through light-hearted, the medium's got to deliver that light-heartedness, but always watching what you're saying, so that, again, so like I said at the beginning, so it's not irreverent, so that you know that you're not going to offend anybody. And that's the secret of not offending anybody.
Yeah, but isn't it true that people are just offended by the fact that you're having fun? Like, for example, I was on a course at the Art of Finley College, and I had a really nice interaction with spirit with the table, and the table was dancing all around in the room, and I was laughing very hard, and it was just very funny and nice and entertaining, and people were really offended by it, just me having fun.
Yeah. You have to ask themselves why they're offended, because although they have a mediumship demonstration in a service, you don't need them. You don't need mediumship to have a religious service, because all the other religions prove that. And there's more mediums that aren't necessarily religious than are religious. And many of them work in a spiritualist church. And I've been there sometimes when the mediums even shock me, and they haven't been uh, trained, by one of the big spiritualist. You've got Greater World, you've got the Spiritualist National Union, excuse me, and they think they can just do it their way. Now, it's like we've said all along, you've got to be aware of everybody's feeling in the church. So if there's 100 people in the church, it doesn't mean you've got to change your style, but you've got to be aware of everybody's feelings in the room. Because if you offend one or two people, that's two people who'll never come and see you again, and will put other people off coming to see you again. And I'm not going to give any names or any church, but I went to one and there was ladies walking out. They were so disgusted in how the medium was working. And everybody thought it was wonderful. But he wasn't even using mediumship. He was just very psychic and very rude. But most of the church was laughing, and he was oblivious to the people standing up and leaving. And if I could, I'd have left, but I was on the committee, but I wasn't the chairperson. Otherwise, I'd have said something. But afterwards, I spoke at the committee meeting and said, is that the sort of medium you want? And they said, well, he brings people in and he makes people laugh. And I said, well, I can bring people in and I can make people laugh. I said, but I'm not rude. And I think that's the difference between having fun and being respectable and reverent, because I still believe you can do both, and just being rude just to get laughs. I don't think you should go there in a spiritualist church. If you want to work and you're going to a spiritualist church, then you abide by those rules. That,
True. But I'm
whether
not
it's an
speaking.
evening of mediumship or a divine service, you should respect the fact that you're working in a religious building.
True. But I was not working in a church at that moment. I was just in a course, and these were other students, because they were taught that everything had to be serious and that you have to be, respectful, and they didn't consider my behavior respectful. So that's more like judgmental. I was not rude to anybody.
Yeah. And
So
basically that wasn't part of the religion. If you're working, like moving the table, which I understand what you're saying, and hopefully most people are, but it's where the energies, the spirit will move the table in a form of communication. And I've seen this, and more often than not, when it's happening, there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of laughter, and particularly when there's one person left on the table and it's still game and everybody's watching it. And that's not a communication that should upset anybody, because it's demonstrating the presence of spirit. It's not a message. So I don't understand why people will get upset over something like that. But I've seen that where I did it myself at Stansted, where they did it in my class. And there was a man, and nothing they could do would please him, and he was like upsetting other students. And they were playing music on this tape. And he came to the table, and his name was Jack. And the next song that came on the tape was "Hit the Road, Jack." So everybody burst out laughing, and even he thought it was funny. But it changed the way he was behaving. It stopped him being uh, offensive to other people and pushing in, and he wanted to, let me see, I'm brilliant at this, let me see. And that was the tune that came on, "Hit the Road, Jack." So everybody laughed. And so yes, mediumship should be fun, but with excuse me, with the emphasis on recognizing where you're working. So if you're working in a working men's club, and people get upset about mediums working in a working men's club, or in a pub, but those mediums might not be religious, and but they should be aware that they are promoting mediums. And people will read somebody say, "Where do you go for your meetings?" "Oh, I go to a spiritualist church." So even those that work in the clubs should be aware that they are like a bit of a shop window for spiritualism, because you don't have to be a medium to be a spiritualist, and that's the thing. So all mediums should be aware of that they are a shop window, and be careful how they're delivering. But that doesn't mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't have fun, because if I worked in a nightclub or a bar, which I've done a couple of times, not very often, because it's whether you get invited to do that work or not. But it's always been a fun night. But I'm always aware of people's feelings. And that's the important thing, that people are aware of who's watching, how they're going to feel. And it sounds a bit repetitive from what I said earlier, but it's always about the recipients. It's not about the medium looking good. It's nice if the medium can give good information, good evidence, backed up by the intelligence of spirit. that's fine. But what you don't want is somebody just like the guy I was on about in the church, who was just rude, telling rude jokes, saying rude things to some of the recipients just to get a laugh, because it isn't about getting the laugh, but laughter should be part of it. If that explains it, I hope.
There are messages. Jack Langland says the communication should always be a reflection of the connection between the communicator and the recipient. And within the communication, there can be joy and laughter as well as grief and tears.
Yeah, that's basically what we've said. It's not about it's never about the medium. It's not about the medium saying, "Go, I was good tonight." It's about the communicator and the recipient. You're reuniting that family, or that partnership, or that friendship, and that's what you're doing. You're reuniting people, from two worlds, the spirit world and the material world. And Jack's put it in a good way there, actually. There can be lots of healing for both. Yeah, that's true. And I've always said, when I'm teaching healing mediumship, even that can be fun. But sometimes the healing word from the spirit world, you know, sometimes mediums, when they finish off, then they just want to say that they love you and they're still there with you. And that means more than, giving somebody's registration number or the door number, the house number, you know. And like Jack says there, within the communication, there can be joy, laughter, as well as grief and tears. And at times, when I've been delivering a message, people have been laughing and at the same time crying. And as soon as the tears come, I say, look, it's not my job to make you cry. And normally, 9 times out of 10, they've said the tears of happiness, that you've brought us together.
Yeah.
And then the committee member will take a tissue and that. So it's I'm going to repeat myself. It's all about the feelings of the recipient, really, but
Yeah.
respecting the feelings of the communicator too. Because
Yeah,
the
very,
medium's there to do a specific job, and that's to unite the two worlds.
very true. Yeah. I once was working with a table with a lady, and the table started to dance. I had some music on, and it started to do a tango-like dance. And the woman's mother was Spanish. So she felt so connected with her mother at that moment, which was so beautiful. And that was just by having fun with the dancing with the table and feeling the energy of her mother.
Yeah. See, I remember lots of my messages, and I can remember I was doing one in Stafford, once in the big centre at Stafford, when it first opened. And they had an open day, and I was doing private consultations for them. And this young girl come in, and I was working with her, and she was quite a difficult recipient. But as soon as you start blaming the recipient, you're losing touch with the spirit world. If you start worrying about the recipient, then your mind's on the recipient and not on the spirit world. And so I was focusing on it was a grandfather's come. I could see him as plain as anything. And I was telling you, oh, he smelt a mothballs. He's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Not really. Anyway, and then I said, oh, how lovely. I said, he's just got a big bag of mint imperials out of his pocket and he's offering one to you. She broke down in tears over a bag of mint imperials. She'd had some lovely evidence before where she was going, yeah, yeah. But the mint imperials are which is, for those who don't know, is an English sweet, a little round sweet that's very hard and they last forever. That's why you give them to children. Perhaps now health and safety, they say don't give children mint imperials, they'll choke on them. But here I am at 70 years old nearly and never choked on a mint imperial. But that young lady went from being a bit unresponsive to very responsive, because that's her memory of her grandfather giving her this mint imperial.
Yes.
And then she started telling me what it is. Oh, I can remember the smell of mothballs, and I can remember she was a different lady. That's what she wanted, that mint imperial, and it changed her. So that's, again, we're going back to this, think of the feelings of the recipient, because they've come to you because of what they've lost. They're not trying to find something, in a sense. They just want the communication. They want the connection. They want,
To
as Jack
know that,
said, they
yeah.
want the tears, the joy, the laughter, because it is, again, as Jack said, it's all part of the healing process.
Do you believe that fun is a powerful tool in healing?
Sorry, I was just checking if there's any messages then. Sorry.
Do you feel that fun is a powerful tool in healing? Having fun?
Definitely. In fact, I've told you about this book I'm reading, and it's all about not accept. So if you've got something wrong with you, you don't keep talking about what's wrong with you, because what you're doing, you're telling the universe that it's okay to have something wrong with you. So if you've got something wrong with you, you talk about the healing. And it's, the book is fun. Everything you do is fun. So you start doing things, oh, that was fun, that was fun. And you find yourself smiling through the day. So if fun is important in life for healing, then it's got to be important in mediumship for healing. Because really, that's what you're helping the person to do, is to heal. You're healing that, trying to ease the grieving process or to shorten the grieving process. I mean, for me, my brothers and sisters, I miss my father, but my brothers and sisters now can't talk about my dad unless they get tearful. And it's been 27, I think 27 years, something like that. And they still get tearful. Whereas I can talk about him because I had those two messages within 2 weeks, both from my father, and it changed my concept on life and death at the same time. It changed, well, we're living on, we're not going to die and just be forgotten. So
It's
the
wonderful,
fun
isn't it?
is part of the healing process,
Yeah.
whether you're having a message or not. Who doesn't like to go to the bar and meet the friends and have a laugh and a joke? And that's what the spirit world did when they were here. People went to bars, they went to football matches, they had funny times with the family. You know, I can remember my grandfather, he was sitting on a Sunday school bench, which is a bench. If somebody sits on one end, it tips up. So my granddad was sitting on one end, my brother was on the other. And then my other brother said, come and play. So he jumped up and my granddad fell off the stool, but he never spilled a drop of beer. Everybody laughed.
Yeah.
It wasn't irreverent then. Even he was laughing, lying on the floor with his pint of brown ale in his hand, still laughing. So if he came back with a message, if he was laughing before he died at that instance, why shouldn't we laugh with him as he brings that information through? Now he's in the spirit world because he's remembering the fun. And that's part of the evidence. It's shared memories, things that you did together. It's no use just saying your granddad lived at, 1 St. George's Avenue, because everybody knows that. But if there's that little individual spark of evidence that you shared that was wonderful, having fun, falling off his stool, that kind of thing, you know, it's it's all part of the healing process, bringing an end to the grieving process.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also in itself wonderful to know that you do live on, that there is not, you don't disappear into nothing.
Well, lots of people will tell you that energy doesn't die, it just changes its form, you know. So, like people's electric fire. So you've got electricity, that's one sort of energy. Then you flick a switch and it becomes heat, doesn't it? And then the heat moves in the room. That's moving air in the room. So it just keeps moving all the time. Energy is creating new things all the time. So it's just the energy that is the spirit, the soul, just leaves the shell and goes on into the next life, in the next realm,
It's still having fun.
still having fun.
Yeah.
When I come back, I'm not going to tell people how I died. They'll know. I'll be reminding them of happy times, like teaching my grandsons to shoot their air guns and things like that, crazy things we've done together. Because that's what they'll want to know. Oh, that's granddad. They want to know, he had a heart attack. Yeah, we know he did. I'm not saying I'm having a heart attack, by the way, but but that's what they'll want to hear if they go to a. I don't think they really understand it. When I say I'm a medium, I don't think they really understand it. I say I talk to dead people. They don't get it. But if when I pass, it drives one of them to be, visit a spiritualist church, I won't come through and tell him I lived at number 45. I'll be telling him what good fun we had. Because the
Yeah.
reason they come to number 45 is because this granddad has fun with them. We play on the Xbox. It's just here next to me. We go down the park and play football, and they think it's great that they can outrun me, but they forget I've got 50 odd years on them. Or we can outrun Granddad. Yeah, of course you can. Granddad's 69 getting on 70. You're 15, 13, and 10. So yeah, talking about the fun things. And there's ways of delivering it, having fun as well. But there's no need to be rude at all, ever.
No, no, but I think that's also true being on Earth. You don't have to be rude.
No, that's correct. So, I mean, if you're rude to somebody in your daily life, then you're probably going to come through rude from the spirit world, because that's your character, that's your personality. And to give you an example, I once come through. I didn't come through. Someone came through me, and I was giving the message, and
Yeah.
he was swearing like mad. So you've got to what they used to teach in those days was you have to monitor the message. So because if it's coming fast, you can't suddenly slip up and swear in a church. So I was telling this lady, and I remember this message, and strangely enough, his name was Jack, and it was for the president of the church. And I said to the president, and it's your Uncle Jack, and he's doing this and this and this and this. And I said, I said, his language is terrible. I said, he's actually swearing to me. I said, but I can't repeat that language. Now, there is some people that would for the laughs, but she said, no, I understand fully who it is. So I wasn't only respecting her and showing it was Uncle Jack. He said, she said, her words were, if you'd have told me you'd been all polite, said, I'd have told you haven't got my Uncle Jack. That were her words. But I was mindful of the other 30, 40 people in the church who would have been offended if I'd have been using that language that Jack came with that night.
Yeah.
So we keep saying it, but it's about taking everybody's feelings into account.
Yeah, but that's always true, I think.
And there's lots of ways of having fun.
Yeah. Sorry?
Lots of ways of having fun.
True, yeah.
Somebody once said to me, I'm not going to mention the medium's name, but somebody said to me, we had such and such in the church last night. Oh, and they were wonderful. They did this, and they gave a telephone number. So the next night, the person who told me, I was working with them, but we were doing autographs followed by spirit communications. So you make a link by reading the autograph, and I'd produced 6, and we were giving the information off. But before I went to the church, I was preparing. I was bathing and things, and I've often done this, tested the spirit world, and I think, I don't want a phone number every week, but if I could just have a phone number that's meaningful, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. So anyway, we're going through, and we did 3 each, and I was the last to go, and it was the last message, and I'm thinking, wow, I haven't had this phone number yet. So anyway, I was talking to this young lady who'd got this big handbag with her, and she was sitting with it, clutching it on her knee, and so I said, I feel I'm with the lady there, and I read it. She says, yes, I can take that. Well, just me. I said, your mother's coming through now. So I put the autograph down, because that's what you're supposed to do. Once you've connected with the spirit world, you put the autograph down or the psychic tool down and started working mediumistically. And the lady was telling me that she's got a little green diary, the communicator. She's got a little green diary in that handbag with a little pencil in. And I said, "You've got a little green diary in there with a pencil in it." She opened her handbag and she goes, "Yes, I have." And she showed the little, and people going, "Oh, that was good. How did you know that?" Anyway, I said, "In the front of that is your best friend's phone number." The lady's telling me, and I can't remember the number now, but I could see it written in front of me, and it was the local area code followed by like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she looked at it, she swore, she went, "Bloody hell." Because yes, that's right. And then I said, "Well, your mum just wanted to have that phone number just to show that she's still watching you." And she named the friend as well, give the name's friend. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, but I asked for it that night. And to me, everybody was laughing, thinking it was wonderful, thinking it was a setup. I didn't know that lady. I've never seen her since. And when I went up to the president after that, I said, "What do you think of that?" She thought it was all right. The night before, somebody had just given a telephone number with no real evidence, no proof. That night, I told her she'd got the book in a handbag, what the phone number was, whose name it was, and she, "Oh, it was all right." Now, I didn't do it because I wanted to say you're fantastic. I wanted to do it to show her that if you play with the spirit world, the spirit world will play you back. So they like to have fun, and I've done that in my time, 4 or 5, when people have said somebody's brilliant, they did this. As I'm preparing, I said, "I'd like to do that this evening, but can we make it meaningful?" And there's been a wonderful piece of evidence to back it up when I've gone to the church. And some have been friends that have told me. So I thought, I'm going to try that. And you find it works.
Yeah. So could you say that humor can be a bridge between the worlds, between the earth world and the spirit world?
Well, you are really, aren't you? I know you're the link, but yes, it's the bridge. Some people call it the rainbow bridge, don't they? You're the bridge between the two worlds. And if everybody believed, they'd be able to do it themselves and mediums would be out of business. Well, we've got 4 people watching us. That's nice. Thank you for turning up. It's nice to know that it's appreciated. We will be putting the chat up live afterwards. Well, up live. We'll be putting this live chat because we're recording it. We'll be putting it on the YouTube channel afterwards for other people, those people that couldn't make it, and hope they enjoy it too. So it's been 40 minutes. Have we answered your question, Tanya?
Yes, you have.
Okay, so hopefully we've answered some of your questions out there, and certainly we appreciated Jack's input. Thank you very much, and I hope you keep watching, because we'll be trying to do a few of these where we're talking about different. It won't always be about mediumship, different subjects. But for now, it's good night from me, and it's good night from
Tanja.
Tanya.
Good night.
But thanks for watching us. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.